Right, hello. So I've got this cheap body armor on, but as I said, it's surprisingly good. Just simply because of the fact it did block a surprising amount of ionizing radiation. So, you know, there is that. Like I said, it's a pretty bad carrier on it, but you know, the actual vest itself, I can't fault it too much because it did block all that radiation. Well, not all that radiation, but you know, a good amount of radiation. So, those wondering, this is just like an upgrade panel slot. Oh, I think the chat's broken as well. So let me just get the chat thing fixed because I need to do pop out chat because it seems regular chat's broken again, like it likes to do. So hello everybody. So yeah, I'll see the messages from now on because if you're on about me, Fluzzy, I'm not drinking tonight. I'll have a drink probably tomorrow night, but not tonight. All right, Joshua. So yeah, this body armor, if you didn't see the video, despite it being cheap crap body armor, I mean, it's all right against knives. Saying that, it's not awful, but yeah, it was surprisingly good at blocking radiation, and the reason being is simply because this is cheapo body armor that uses thin steel plates as opposed to, you know, like a Kevlar mix or whatever. That is actually better for stopping ionizing radiation because it works a bit more like lead. So there you go. Yeah. So Steve, I was reading that thing. So yeah, it's to basically reduce damage to your bone marrow, isn't it? But again, the problem is if you get acute radiation syndrome, it's not just bone marrow that goes, it's everything that goes. So yeah, I imagine something like that would lower your risks by quite a lot. But I would personally not think it would be adequate enough for really bad situations. Does that make sense? When you say how much, do you mean dose or does? As said, I think they're about normally 13 to 15 pounds, these vests. And the dose, it cut the radiation dose from both sides down by about 100. Because, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, Steve, if your bone marrow goes, you're fucked from radiation. But, you know, a lot of the people had their, like, you know, blood sepsis type infections because, you know, like all their antibodies didn't work anymore. You know, their flesh went necrotic. With acute radiation syndrome, you're pretty much a goner as soon as, like, you know, you get one of the symptoms, and people normally get like 10 to 20 different, like, morbidities. Yeah, DO8's an ionization chamber, isn't it, Brighton? Not a guide counter. I do like the DO8 though, but yeah. But it's annoying you can't find DP66s or DP75s, especially maybe they'd all just been exported. But yeah, so as I said, this is cheapo armor. Weapon Collector did do a video where he like tested this against knives, and it actually worked surprisingly well. And he did cut it open to show you what the panels look like inside. So basically, the panels inside, as Steve said, they look a bit like dragon skin. Like, they're obviously not as good as dragon skin, but if you see that the armor's doing that where I press it, it's because it's like loads of little steel plates that are kind of just riveted together, I think. You know, it's like I said, I wouldn't really recommend a vest like this if you actually had to have a stab vest, but I was just quite surprised at how good it was at stopping X-rays. It's like dragon skin, but not as good, Brighton. It's cheap Chinesium dragon skin, but it's not advertised as a bulletproof vest. It's just advertised as a stab vest. And stab vest against conventional knives, it would probably be all right. If somebody shot it with a crossbow with a decent tip on, I think that would go through. If somebody stabbed it with probably like a Fairbairn Sykes type or Fairbairn Sykes type knife. Right, of course, somebody starts PMing me as soon as I start streaming. Let me. Right, so anyway, let me go back to this. Why is it with people that like, oh, I think they probably do on purpose, don't they? But yeah, not bad chocolate muffin. My stomach's a bit annoying again, but that's just ulcerative colitis. Some days it's all right, some days it's not. I literally said they were awful the other day, Vestra, so you didn't listen when I did the video. But, well, again, they don't make products. They just sell Chinesium stuff for way too much money. They don't do adult PDF masks, Happy Feet. I mean, unless you bought the biggest size one, but it's a children's mask, so you can't get a children's mask in adult size. No, I don't have an N10. If you found one for €25, that's an amazing price, but that's not their retail price. What chocolate muffin? You mean all the Dominic Cummings stuff? I was listening to some of that earlier. The PMG one, not really, because of how old it is. Again, if you want a good mask, you don't buy old Soviet ones. Like, again, they were very good for when they were made, but the problem is, I'm not going to say to you, oh, I think an old Soviet mask that's not even in 40mm NATO, it's in GOST, is a good choice for surviving today. It's like, no, it's not. Logan, other than saying just get a full face mask with a P3 filter, it doesn't really matter too much. Because obviously you want eye protection, because obviously, as you probably know, if you've got essentially fallout particles, they can get into your eyes. Yeah, but Brightold, most people don't. This is the problem. Most people asking don't have GOST filters, and they're like, oh, I want to get it anyway. But Spassiani TR2002s, as I've said before, I really like for what they are. Because, you know, good panoramic view. Cheers, Lewis. Yeah, I was surprised how well this vest worked for that. Because I was expecting it would cut it down a bit, but not much. But obviously, most of the X-rays coming from that device are of a low enough frequency that this stops them. But they're of a high enough frequency that you can see the bones in your finger through a phosphorus screen. So higher than they're meant to be. Oh, making me feel old now, Joshua, because I'm older than you. I'm already 27. But yeah, let me show, for the people who don't know, let me show you what it looks like. Again, I was trying to get a bit of this filmed on video, but you can never get it to look good on camera. I think I should have some edited ones somewhere. What folder do they show up in? The ones where I've... Photo editor. Yeah, so that's going to be like the best one I did, where you can see it. But you can see the bone joints in there. But again, it's just with a phosphor screen, you need the room to be really dark to get good contrast on the screen, and then a camera won't pick it up well. But yeah, so that Chinese X-ray camera, good. I tried it on my guts. You can't actually see your guts and your like rib cage through it, so it's not that good, not that powerful. So it's not the equivalent of a chest X-ray, but it is stronger than what it should be for a dental X-ray. So the fact this vest protected me from that, I was quite pleased. But you know, like as I said, part of the fun if you get an X-ray thing is taking X-rays. Even if you know that's no, don't do that. You'll lower your life expectancy by however much. Oh well. I did film a load of stuff today with trying to do the phosphor plate with it as well to get some X-ray images, but most of that didn't turn out very well on camera, so I didn't bother editing it and uploading it. I hope that went well, Brighto. I guess you don't get your results, do you, for months? If it's like the UK system, when you do like your end of school exam, it takes months to get the results. Yeah, the M40, Logan, if you've got an M40, use an M40. The M40 is so much better than the PMG one. If you've got an M40, do not use a PMG one. But yeah, I'm going to play about with the X-ray stuff. When I say play about, in a scientific, you know, all that blah, blah, blah. But, you know, to see if I can find a way of filming it. Because I have seen channels on YouTube where they actually film the phosphor plates of X-rays with a regular camera and they get surprisingly good results. So I'm guessing it's mostly just going to be a lighting and camera setup thing. Yeah, well, Weapon Collector's done a video on it, Lewis, the person I watch. And again, it's not advertised as, you know, ballistic armor. It's a stab vest. And again, it's a cheap crap stab vest because it's just literally a couple of steel plates, you know. Like, say, a dragon skin thing with steel plates. But for a stab vest, that works, you know. But again, if I used one of my better modern, like, you know, stab-resistant kind of British police vests, that wouldn't stop radiation as well. because when it's a mix of Kevlar and other like synthetics, they're not actually as resistant to radiation. Right, Captain Bryce, literally can't tell you that because of YouTube's policies, unfortunately. I said it in the initial video that they took down. Go on one of the sites where they sell them and see if it's still for sale. That's all I can say, because of YouTube's stupid rules now on literally can't do anything to promote the sale of firearms, whatever it is. I've got an ECBA vest. That's the best armor I've got in terms of like the plate in it. So ECBA plates are not very big, but that's 7.62 by 51mm protection, you know, for like 2 shots until it breaks. And you also wouldn't want to be shot regardless. But the point is that, you know, for most people, you don't need armor like that. Like, there's a reason the military have it for a regular civilian. I'm not saying that as in like, oh, there's no reason you wouldn't need armor. I'm just thinking there's not actually much reason that you're going to ever be shot at with a rifle like that that's designed to stop. So basically, for most people in the UK, I'm generally like saying, well, what you probably want is just 3A Kevlar combined with a stab vest. You can't send links because it's a stream. Brighton, somebody said that a bit above you, and that's good, Rich, if I didn't say that's good. But yeah, as I said, this is not designed as a ballistic vest anyway, so if you're shooting it, it completely defeats the point of what it's made for. You know, it's designed to stop knives, and Weapon Collector did a video testing it with knives, and it worked surprisingly well for how cheap it was. But I said I wouldn't wear armor like this reliably. It was just I bought one because of how cheap it was, just for the sake of, oh, would this be any good for anything? And it is good against X-rays. Again, well, it depends on the frequency of the X-rays, because if it's like really high frequency X-rays, they're going to go through the armor, no issue anyway. Same as if, you know, you have gamma rays, because most gamma rays from radionuclides are in like the very high, like 100 of Kev region or the MEV region, not like 30 to 60 Kev like what this was stopping. Yeah, well, still 4K to go, Drunk Russian, so that could still be about 4 months, you know. Are you on about a bug out bag or like a go-to bag? It's up to you if you want one or not. Like, most people wouldn't bother. You're meant to have an emergency bag in terms of like first aid and, you know, like in case your house gets flooded, damaged in some sort of storm. But you know, most people in the UK, unless they're like really serious preppers, aren't going to bother having like a bug out bag. And as I've said before, I've got a bag I set up that I need to do a video on with like stuff, but mine's more of like if you suddenly found yourself homeless kind of bag, not really a bug out bag, because I think that is a much more realistic prospect for a lot of people. You know, like you have a bag with some essentials in, like some cold weather clothes and all that, if you just suddenly found that you're out of your house, rather than, you know, the whole thing of like, oh, it's got to have a load of protection stuff in it and whatever else. Not any camo at the moment that I've sort of got my eye on that I've not done videos on. Favorite source of surplus? Normally just eBay, like different sellers through eBay. Oh yeah, you have to be careful saying stuff like that on here, Nick, in case the you know, pigs come and chrono it now. Yeah, Fuzzy, that's my point. Like I said, I don't have anything against people that want to do it, but I think it seems strange when people are saying, "Oh, you definitely should do it." It's like, why? Like I said, for me, something that's like an emergency, you've been kicked out your house kind of bag. You know, here's something that would help you sleep on the streets all right for a couple of nights would be a lot more important than, you know, like planning for various contingencies, if that makes sense. Yeah, that sounds good, Brightold. But yeah, like I said, other than suggesting eBay for surplus, I really don't know. I don't think that's that much of a phobia, Drunk Russian. As I said, when I used to work in the city, I used to have like a much better vest on than this one, but I did have a vest like that just because of the amount of heroin addicts that literally lurked around demanding money and occasionally stabbed people, or like bottled people or whatever else. I got threatened. I think I got threatened at least once with a knife being pulled on me. It was like a shitty pen knife thing, but for the most part, like I was saying, I just bought the armor because it's like if I'm waiting at the bus stop, I'd rather have a vest on under my, like a jacket than not have one on in case some fucking random, twat decides to stab you because I want money for my heroin. Depends on the model of flak vest, Cool Doggo, because not all flak vests have the same fillers in. Cheers, Doug. I've seen videos of some ballistic nylon ones stopping knives, some don't. With Kevlar ones, again, they might not. It depends on how thick the Kevlar is. Are there any like metal plates in the flak jacket to reinforce it? Now, an EpiPen is basically for people with severe allergies, isn't it? So no, I don't need one of those. Yeah, Rich, I've seen a lot of videos of, like, obviously not people being shot, but I have seen videos like various rounds that, where people test them on armor, but they put the armor on a kind of thing to simulate the human body underneath it. And I've seen on a lot of those, the things where the armor stops it, but the crumpling done to like the dummy type thing they put under it, you think, yeah, you're fucked if that actually hit you. Most modern masks have polycarbonate lenses, but again, masks aren't designed for airsoft. Depends. When you say the analog gear, like that one, like the MD3 I used earlier, they're bloody good. The MD3 is one of the best like radiation meters I have. I like it more than a lot of my digital ones just because of how well it works inside. Like, it could in theory have a digital display and work just as well. But most of the stuff I've got behind me that's just retro gear is just retro gear. Yeah, Avon M50s have like a polycarbonate thing you can put over the main lens as well. If you find somebody that would ship it, Keegan, you can certainly get one. Maybe if you find somebody selling one, ask them how much shipping to America would be. Yeah, but 357 and 38 are like Magnum cartridges, aren't they, from a handgun? I think what Rich and I was on about are stuff like shotgun slugs, some of the quite powerful rifle rounds. Because again, it's going to depend on distance from you and the shooter, length of the barrel on the firearm, therefore affecting the velocity a bit. There's quite a few factors. But the point is, like I've said before, is if you look at back face deformation on a lot of armor, even the stuff that technically stops it, the higher rounds, you wouldn't want to be the person under it. Change the color of what, Stephen? But again, it's with helmets again. That's the thing, because you're going to get a neck injury from it, and if it's a powerful enough impact to the head, it will snap your neck regardless. There's a lot of stuff like that where again, it's good that armor gets better and better, but there's still going to be tolerances of the human body. So again, it's like unless you have an exoskeleton type thing, where I guess it's got a metal frame built into it that would take the strain, not your skeleton. Any mask can melt at the right temperature. If you mean, can a GP5 melt if exposed to certain chemicals? Probably. but that's why the best masks are made out of butyl composites. IMD5 is the best one out of those, Keegan. But the IMD5 and the DP5V are essentially the same, just they take different batteries. And the IMD5 is kind of just a bit nicer. But in terms of the ranges on them and like the Geiger-Müller tubes inside, they're identical. It's just the IMD5 is in rads, not Rontgens. And it also has like a bigger display. So if you were going to get one, and you could get them at a similar price, get an IMD5, just simply for the fact it's a bit better built. I definitely don't think an American leaked COVID from a Chinese lab. I mean, could COVID have come from a Chinese lab? That's a very high possibility. But did an American do it? No, that's like, this sounds like the, Chernobyl thing of, oh no, the CIA blew up our RBMK reactor, which was flawless. It's like, no, it was a shit commie design. 4 months, Doug, roughly. I generally get about 1K subs a month at the moment, unless YouTube promotes my stuff more. I've mostly covered a lot of them, Nexus. That's the problem. All right, okay, 9. If you could get a Mark 7 helmet for a good price, Mark 7 helmets are very good. They're not as good as the, the Virtus helmet, which I guess you could call the Mark 8. But Mark 7s are very good for what they are. For a Kevlar helmet, they're excellent. But that's the reason they're quite bulky, is that they've just got quite a lot of Kevlar filler in them. Generally, like gasoline, sort of petrol kind of liquids can eat into rubbers as well. Well, it's almost like every time communists fuck up, they have to blame somebody else for it, not the fact that they're incompetent. Well, remember gas mask, Alan. They were also telling you originally that gas masks and like masks didn't do anything to protect you from virus threats, even though in like biological warfare manuals they always have been a form of protection, or at least one form of protection. But yeah, remember with COVID, the problem was that the media is, and I'm not saying like it's in a conspiracy way, I'm just saying like the media generally aren't that competent. So the media, like when China was saying COVID wasn't a thing, the media didn't really find it a very interesting news story. Then, like the thing is with COVID is like they'll stop talking about COVID when they have something else interesting to talk about. But it was like the two original things of COVID were basically it either came from a wet market or it came from a lab, whether it was like an accidental release or a deliberate release, And like I've seen what a lot of the media do now is they say like, oh, we were saying the conspiracy theory that it was a man-made biological weapon. No, that's complete false. That's what we were saying, that it was like a conspiracy. There was a complete thing that it could have been like a research drug that got out. So oh, it's like you're just shifting the goalposts then. Is a live stream live? Yes, I believe that's how it works. Boeing plane. Well, bear in mind, X-rays and gamma rays are essentially the same thing, Keegan. Depending on what definition you look up, they are the same thing. Both a gamma ray and an X-ray are a photon of light energy that is more energetic than visible light. Some graphs have X-rays on one side of it and then gamma rays. As it gets more penetrating, it becomes a gamma ray, not an X-ray. The explanation I like more is that if it comes from breaking radiation, it's an X-ray. If it comes from the decay of an atom, it's a gamma ray. But bear in mind, you can get X-rays that are just as powerful as gamma rays in like certain bits of lab equipment that would fry you just as easily as a bit of radioactive fallout. But in theory, I guess if you're saying if you were wearing a load of protective equipment, would you only need something that picks up gamma radiation rather than like alpha or beta or like soft X-rays? In theory, yes, but well, They were a good idea when only America had them, in a sense. They're a bad idea now everybody has them. But in a way, they are a good thing because we've not had a World War III, which we probably would have had if nuclear weapons weren't on the table. The media, when the COVID stuff ends, will just talk about celebrities non-stop, talk about politicians non-stop. From what I understand, Singh, don't bear in mind we're probably going into a new Cold War, essentially, with China anyway. And in the new Cold War, regardless of if China did something right or wrong, they'll be blamed for it because it will be a Cold War type scenario. I don't know because, like saying, I can't tell you if it leaked from a lab or not because I wasn't there. Like, there's a chance it could have leaked from a lab, but like saying, again, it's going to be like the people that won't tell you the whole truth about everything on your side versus the people on the other side. So you're never really going to find out the truth in that scenario, are you? Because China's actually claiming now in some places it was American frozen food that came into China that had the virus on it. It's like, that's total bullshit. Where was that chocolate muffin? Well, Wuhan. I wasn't in Wuhan. As I've said over and over again, the L85 in theory could have been good if it was, made to a decent budget and they hadn't rushed the designs. I do see the point of 5.56 rifles, but again, what Britain should have done is been allowed to adopt the original EM2 back before, we used the FAL, because that was just because America's like everybody in NATO has to use 7.62. Well, Fox Airsoft, I don't want to sound like a dick, but if your aunt dies, it's her fault. It's like where they've been now complaining in the UK that there's people dying of the India variant that previously refused to get the vaccine. So it's like, oh, it's their fault then. And that's what you're saying. You have a free choice in this country. You're not forced to get a vaccine. Do you want to get the vaccine or not? No, I don't want to get the vaccine. Later get corona and die. Oh, what a shame they didn't get the vaccine. It's like, well, they made a choice, and that was the reward of their choice. There's still a very small risk if you have the vaccine of various things. But for most people, especially as you get older, the risk is much more in the thing of getting a vaccine is far safer than risking getting a disease. But then, of course, the people who didn't get the vaccine, then if they die, that's their own fault. They made a decision. Fuzzy. Well, if YouTube bots are watching now, I am pro-vaccine. I am totally pro-vaccine. As long as they're well researched and everything, I have had my 2 vaccines, and I'll prove it to you for the people who, care about such things. There you go. For the YouTube bots, if they're watching, look, I have had 2 doses of vaccine. I am not an anti-vaxxer at all. It's your own choice if you get a vaccine or not, but I'm certainly not anti-vax. Yeah, I hope that goes all right for you, Mr. Livera. Yeah, Fred's is a good example of why nuclear war would be horrible if you're a regular person, or anybody, really. I mean, to be honest, if you're one of those really rich people or government people and you're like top-tier nuclear bunker, it wouldn't be too bad, because you'd basically just be living in a place where you couldn't see daylight, eating canned food, and so your quality of life would be a lot lower, but it wouldn't be awful, especially compared to how some people live in some countries, like the very poor people in the world. But for most people, it would be horrific. I think you already know the answer to that. So if I'm somebody that says the FM12 is a great mask over and over, why would I suddenly not think the FM12 is a great mask? Right, Julie? Yeah, I suppose you can not look, can't you, when they give it you. What I will say is because it's intramuscular, they normally do it there, you don't really feel it. I will say, though, because I want to be completely honest, The first vaccine I had made me feel like I had flu for a couple of days. And most people I know who had the Oxford AstraZeneca said that when they had like their first jab for the next couple of days, you know, they were achy or they were very tired or whatever. My second jab, I had a slightly sore arm the next day for a couple of hours. That was it. No flu symptoms, nothing. Yeah, I've got a GMC 500 Plus. I've done videos on it. The GMC 500 Plus is pretty good for what it is, like I've said before. I have no idea what you're on about, train guy. That doesn't even sound like an English word, so I don't know what it means. Well, I'll ask Bart to draw it at some point, Lewis, when he has the time to draw stuff. Well, with S10, it's just literally as in service mask, because Britain had like the S6 beforehand. As in S6, I think was technically SR6, so service respirator. So I assume S10 is just essentially service respirator 10 or service, you know, mask 10. FM12, no idea. Look on Avon's website and see if they tell you. But, you know, who knows? I don't really care. Like, you know, there's so many acronyms that don't mean anything when it comes to military equipment. That's annoying at Irish Tom if you actually want it. I mean, the good thing was here, at least, the government just bought shitloads of vaccines. I don't know much about it, train guy, as I said, because I didn't even recognize the name. You know, I know ones like the PPS-43 and, like, obviously the older Soviet ones, but no, I don't think that one really strikes a bell. I mean, I wish it did sing. I mean, if a vaccine turned me into a supervillain, that would be amazing. But sadly, when I had my vaccine, I didn't turn into a supervillain. So, you know, there we go. I don't believe I do OK9 unless I've got them and I just don't know they're made by that company. Is that a Czech company? If so, what's their logo look like on the mask? My tea's going cold, so I need to finish it. Lukewarm tea is absolutely disgusting. What sort of box is it, Fox Airsoft? As in like a trunk type box or like an ammo can box? But regardless, store it with most things like that. You want to store it out of direct sunlight and where the temperature doesn't fluctuate a lot. So if you've got like a wardrobe or a closet, put it in there. I don't think it would work like that, permafrost. With most vaccines for anything in the world, you've got basically a percentage chance that they'll protect you from what it is. And normally it's like 70+%. You know, the good vaccines are 90+%. So if you got various COVID vaccines, I don't think it would make a difference. Which Geiger counter at the background? There's a couple. There's their ionization chambers, technically. There's a Polish DP66 there. That's right sort of era for Chernobyl, but Poland as opposed to Soviet Union. That's a Polish vehicle-based one up there. So again, communist Poland, not, you know, Soviet Union, but again, similar thing to what the Soviets used. I do have a lot of the Soviet ones, but just not behind me. They're generally stored in different areas. Yes, it's a Nixie tube clock. As you can see, if you look up the time right now in the UK and look up the time on the clock, you can see it's a clock. So it's the correct time. Hard to say. I used to definitely prefer tea to coffee, but I like both now. And I prefer both without sugar. I like milk in both tea and coffee, but I don't like sugar in them. With coffee, I don't mind if it has sugar in. With tea, I never have sugar in it now. But for the most part, like, you know, like if I was making coffee myself, I don't put sugar in it. But if somebody puts sugar in coffee, it doesn't annoy me as much as tea. Okay, 9. So, wow, I might have a mask of theirs then. I don't know. I've never tried a tea bag in a cup of coffee. That might be disgusting. Yeah, honey in tea is nice. You can put a load of syrups. I'm not. So she's saying that honey and tea. Not really a fan of that. Honey and coffee, I quite like. When it's like really strong coffee and they put honey in it as a sweetener. But yeah. But yeah, the idea of mixing coffee and tea together in the same mug, disgusting. Did you see the video earlier, Mike? I did send you a Twitter message about it, but this armor is actually very good at protecting you from X-rays, like medical strength X-rays. Right, train guy. If you're far left or far right, you're probably a dickhead. In the sense that people on political extremes normally are dickheads, regardless of what far end of whatever they are. The problem with vaccine passports is it does cut down on people's liberty, but I can also see the idea that companies might want to say, wow, you know, because we don't want to endanger other people, we only want vaccinated people to come in. Because I don't like the idea that basically you can say, I don't want to have a vaccine, but then everybody else has to be restricted more because I'm refusing to get the vaccine. You know, really, if you refuse to get the vaccine, then that, you know, you should have consequences. You know, there should be consequences either way. So if you get the vaccine, you know, and then you get slight less restrictions, fine. If you choose not to get the vaccine, but that means you have to do like COVID tests more regularly to go into private property, well, that's the choice you make, I guess. The idea I don't like is that people saying like, well, I'm not going to get the vaccine, but everything has to stay closed down. Like, because I've heard people saying that. It's like, no, that's the worst possible thing. GZ Deuce, I think it was a joke, but Hype sent me Chairman Mao's little red book with a parcel of stuff. Oh, I've got something cool to show you. I almost forgot I had it. So I've not got the safety goggles in this room, so I'll be very, very careful with it. But look what came. And no, it's not a lightsaber as much as it kind of looks like a lightsaber. So it even has an ignition key on this one for safety. So there we go. Turn it on. That's so you can run it off a wall socket, by the way, if you want to. So we've got the red light to say it's on. Now watch this. That's how bright it is. It's, yeah. I don't even want to run this without the it's the 8-watt laser. But yeah, without the safety glasses, I'm barely going to play about with this because, you know, the 2-watt one, if you look at it on a white surface, damages your eyes. This is 8 watts. I've never been good at coding, so let's just see how much it makes the thing glow though on the yeah, that glows pretty well. Yeah, look at that. Wow. I like how even with the light on though, you can see the beam. Look at that. You can actually see the beam of this with the light on. In a room with light on. That's how bright this is. And this one has a nice little focal ring there, so you can actually focus it using this bit. In the UK, it's legal. In the US, it's not legal. Here's the funny thing. The US is more restrictive than the UK when it comes to lasers. So to show you, I don't want to look at it directly, but so if I put it there, at the screen rather than... Right, so it's on the gas mask. The gas mask sign. So, see, that's unfocusing it. Then we turn it that way. Oh, wait, no, we're unfocusing it there, aren't we? So, that's probably as much as I can focus it at that distance on that sign, but yeah, I know that. Well, it's also going to damage the webcam as well, because lasers this powerful do damage webcams. It can light a bit more than the match top hat, man. Tell you what, have I got a bit of scrap cardboard? Because if so, I'll just demonstrate it on scrap cardboard. I'll do a proper video on it soon. But, right, here we go. Here's the one I was burning with the 2-watt laser. Right, so it's a bit awkward holding this actually because it's so big. Look, yeah, there you go. Stinks like shit. Yep, my eyes. But yeah, I will be careful, Flazzy. But yeah, like I said, this thing's fucking cool. But yeah, it's even got a safety key on this one because of how powerful it is. That's over there, Brighto, so I can't really get that out at the moment. If you mean like, do I have like masks like basic FFP3 masks? Yes, and I've done videos on them. What's the cheapest gas mask that I have? Maybe something Chinesium, I don't know. Yes, Christas, it can burn skin. I'm not going to demonstrate it on this stream. I'll demonstrate it when I do a video, when I've got the safety glasses on. But considering it burns cardboard in a second, what do you think it does to your skin? About £80. So $100 maybe. 8 watts, Keegan. 8-watt laser. So bear in mind the 2-watt one is a lot smaller. This is massively bigger than the 2-watt one. The 2-watt is a lot more practical in terms of size. This thing's this takes quite a unique battery. This takes these batteries I had to buy specifically for it. 26650s. Well, most ship mask owns the pewter, so I'll just say that. Well, for this laser, burning stuff, I guess, looking cool. Right, I will do at some point chocolate muffin. Anyway, I'm going to have to go off. I know I've only been on 42 minutes, but my UC is playing up and my stomach really hurts at the moment. So I'm going to go to the toilet and not do a slingshot warrior. So, you know, I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream if he is on Twitch tonight. I'll be on there. But as I said, I need to run now just because my stomach really fucking hurts. Because, yeah, be glad you don't have ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease if you've not got it. Right, see you all. Goodbye.